My bathroom drawers are a complete mess. As you can see here, we've got brushes, we've got retainers, we've got clay, we've got toothpaste, we've got shavers. And no matter how hard I try, I can never seem to keep this looking nice or organized. But I have an idea of how to fix that. You know in the movies where secret agents always have all their guns and tools and knickknacks put in perfectly organized foam containers? That's what we're going to do, but for all of these toiletries. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did it and how you can do it for a lot less money than you might think. Let's get into it. So, first off, I measured the size of the interior drawer and it was about 16 inches by 14.5 inches. Now you'll probably have a different size drawer, but that's okay, just measure it, it'll be fine. After that, I got this foam gym mat and flipped it over so it was on the non-textured side, and I used an X-Acto knife to cut it out. When you're cutting out foam, it's super important to have a really sharp blade, so make sure you switch your blade regularly if you're cutting a lot of foam. Then I used a sewing cutting board thingy, or a self-healing cutting mat, whatever those are called, taped out the size of the drawer, and laid out how I wanted everything in the drawer. Originally, the plan was to take one picture and use that one picture as a reference, but because the height of things like the melatonin bottle or the styling powder was so different, and the fact that the camera wasn't directly over them, it made it so that you couldn't use it as an accurate reference photo. So I had to take the individual pictures directly over each object. Or in the case of things that were a perfect circle, I could just use calipers to measure them. Side note, really nice calipers aren't that expensive. You can get a pair of solid ones for like 20 bucks on Amazon. Then I opened up Affinity Photo. Now, if you've never heard of Affinity Photo, it's a lot like Adobe's Photoshop, except you can buy it and you don't have to subscribe to it like you do for Adobe. The entire Affinity suite is about 1/4 the price of a year of Adobe Creative Cloud. Now no, this isn't sponsored by Affinity or anything like that, I just really like their product. Now, is it 100% of what Adobe offers? No. But it is probably about 90% and it is way less expensive. 150 bucks compared to 600 bucks a year? Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Once I got each item into Affinity, I used the masking tool to create an outline for each item, like this shaver. It's a lot easier if you can put it on a solid color rather than this matte, and I learned that with the later ones. I then put a black box in the outline to make it so that it was just a general shape to make the app less confused. I then exported it as a JPEG and loaded it into the Xtool Creative Space app. Xtool has a really great tracing feature, and because it's now a simple shape because we filled it in with the black box, it's really easy for the app to trace it out. I'm able to get the correct sizing by referring back to my calipers and making sure the height or width of the trace in the app is the same as the calipers reading in real life. Here's what the whole toolpath looks like after we do all of the items. We did all this so that we can send it to a laser cutter. Now, before you say, Kobe, you said this wasn't going to be that expensive. Aren't laser cutters like $1,000? And yeah, some laser cutters are, but you'd be shocked at how much they're coming down in price. The high wattage lasers are the ones that are thousands of dollars. But especially if you're going to be cutting things like thin wood or foam and are willing to do multiple passes, you can get a super nice laser cutter for about 400 bucks, which still isn't super cheap, but those bamboo organizer things are like 30 to 40 bucks a pop, so if you bought 10 or 15 of those, you'd be spending about the same amount of money. So I think as long as you don't just use this for one project, the $400 will be well distributed across all your different projects, and it'll be well worth your money. So I think it's a good investment. I'm still relatively new at using it, so I'm not entirely sure why it cut it in the order it did, but it's pretty satisfying to watch. Although make sure that if you do buy one of these, you always wear proper eye protection, because if you don't, these could seriously hurt you and even blind you. Once they were all cut, I popped out the shapes and washed off any of the burn marks that there were from the lasers. And I thought I was done until I had this idea. So before we actually put this in, I have an idea of how to make it look even more professional. So we've already cut out our foam, like we did already, but now we're gonna just put this extra blue foam that I had that's super thin. It's like craft foam, you can buy it at Michael's. And we're just gonna glue it behind, and it's gonna give us a backing and make it look even more professional. Now, I'm not entirely sure if rubber cement was the best glue for this use case because the blue foam really soaked it up. So I had to use a lot of it, and I think the glue caused the blue foam to actually curl up. Now, if anyone has any advice on a better type of glue for foam on foam connecting, please let me know in the comments. As you can see, I actually had to go grab my GMAT study books to hold the panels down. A lot of my videos on this channel are about business, entrepreneurship, and just understanding how the world works. And that leads me to ask you, not would you subscribe, but would you buy a product like this if you could just scan your items with your phone, organize them how you'd like in an app, and then send them off somewhere to be custom cut for you? If so, how much would you pay per drawer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think this could be a really cool product if we could automate the picture taking and outlining part with a LiDAR scanner. Now here's the final result. I'd love to know what you think. Is this cool or a complete waste of time? What could I do to make it better? Be sure to subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys next time.